Thinking like a monk isn't about becoming a monk. It's about applying the principles monks live by to everyday life. In today's fast-paced world, we're bombarded with distractions, endless notifications, and overwhelming demands. Our minds are constantly pulled in different directions: work, relationships, social media. But thinking like a monk teaches us how to reclaim our focus, to train our minds to be present in the moment. Monks don't just sit in caves or temples, detached from the world. They're highly aware of their surroundings, but they choose to detach from things that don't serve their purpose. That's where the first lesson comes in: detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not being controlled by things that are temporary. The key is to let go of what we can't control and focus on what we can. When we stop clinging to outcomes, to people's opinions, or to material possessions, we free ourselves from stress and anxiety. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with everyone's expectations, fears, and judgments. Thinking like a monk is like learning to put that backpack down. It's not about rejecting the world, but about rejecting what weighs us down. And when you let go of that weight, you create space for joy, for love, for purpose. Another pillar of monk thinking is mastering your mind. Our minds are like wild animals. If left unchecked, they run in every direction, chasing whatever looks appealing. But when we train our minds, we learn to focus on what truly matters. Monks practice mindfulness, not just in meditation, but in every aspect of life. They learn to bring their full attention to each task, to each moment. When you're present, you can experience life more deeply, more fully. Instead of rushing through your day, you start to savor it. You begin to notice the details, the sound of the wind, the taste of your food, the smile on a stranger's face. Mindfulness turns the mundane into the meaningful. But it's not always easy, is it? We live in a culture that glorifies multitasking, that tells us we have to do it all. But monks know the power of doing one thing at a time, of giving each moment its due. When you live mindfully, you stop reacting to life and start responding to it with intention. Monks also teach us the value of routine. We often think routine is boring or restrictive, but routine creates freedom. Monks follow a strict daily schedule, not to limit themselves, but to liberate their minds from decision fatigue. By knowing what's coming next, they free up mental energy for more important things. Routine helps you cultivate discipline, and discipline leads to mastery. Whether it's your morning routine, your work habits, or how you spend your evenings, routine shapes your mind. When you practice the same habits day in and day out, you train your brain to focus, to persist, to thrive. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. Every time you show up, every time you stick to your practice, you're strengthening your mind. Another core teaching from monks is about embracing solitude. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, that tells us we need to be on all the time. But monks know that solitude isn't loneliness. It's where we find clarity. In solitude, we can reflect on our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. It's in solitude that we reconnect with our true selves, free from distractions. When we carve out time for ourselves, we give our minds space to breathe. Solitude is where creativity, insight, and peace emerge. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about finding time to be with yourself. When you're comfortable in your own company, you stop seeking validation from others. You realize that everything you need is already within you. Gratitude is another pillar of monk thinking. Monks practice gratitude daily, not just for the big things, but for the small, everyday moments. Gratitude rewires your brain to focus on abundance rather than lack. When you focus on what you have, rather than what you don't, You create a mindset of contentment and joy. It's easy to get caught up in what's missing, in the things that didn't go right, in what we wish was different. But gratitude reminds us to pause and recognize the beauty in what we already have. Every moment, every breath, every experience is a gift. And when you approach life with gratitude, you start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Thinking like a monk also means embracing humility. In a world that often encourages us to stand out, to seek recognition, monks remind us of the value of humility. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself, it's about thinking of yourself less. It's about understanding that we're all connected, that no one person is greater or lesser than another. When you approach life with humility, you open yourself up to learning, to growth. You realize that every person you meet has something to teach you. Humility grounds you in the truth that we're all students of life, always evolving, always growing. And lastly, monks teach us to cultivate compassion. Compassion isn't just about feeling sympathy for others. It's about taking action. It's about recognizing that everyone you meet is fighting their own battles. When you approach others with compassion, you see beyond the surface, beyond their behavior, and into their humanity. Compassion opens your heart, allowing you to connect deeply with others. But it's not just about compassion for others, it's also about compassion for yourself. We're often our own harshest critics, but thinking like a monk teaches us to offer ourselves the same kindness we extend to others. Self-compassion allows us to heal, to grow, and to become the best version of ourselves. So, what does it mean to think like a monk? It means living with intention, letting go of distractions, and focusing on what truly matters. It's about cultivating inner peace, mastering your mind, and leading a life of purpose and service. Thinking like a monk isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up every day with humility, gratitude, and compassion. And when you do that, you'll find that the happiness, the peace, and the fulfillment you've been searching for were within you all along. Now take these teachings and try applying them in your life. If you want more guidance on how to think like a monk, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mind of a Monk. Let's keep growing together.